Yo, what is up, everybody? This is your boy Watts. This is Smash. And this is Campus Crashers. Let's go! Someone in here is taking up all the space in this here town, and it sure as heck ain't me.
Controversy brewing tonight over a trio of bills some parents say push a, quote, transgender agenda.
Parents told stories of lost custody, citing gender affirmations and identity as a cause, and expressed concern over the bill's supposed scope.
I think one of the turning points was when I received a text message when he was 2 years old of my son in a dress. That's all I want to do is hold my son.
When did this become an issue to get engaged about? Is when it stopped being a thing for adults to deal with, and it started to be a, let's tell kids that it may be that they can be the opposite sex.
You could say anything about your gender or sexuality, and the teachers would just nod along and be like, that's valid.
Teachers and counselors have zero background and training to deal with gender dysphoria. To me, it's criminal.
There's a war on children right now.
Why would you do that? It's not based on science. It is an ideology of harm.
This is a weaponized use of a parent's sympathy and caring and concern by the left to destroy your child.
Oh!
Another chapter opened in this young girl's life.
People want truth right now. They don't want sanitized secular talking points with worship music. They don't want rock concerts and TED Talks called church. They want the truth of the Word of God in a time of chaos and crisis. We play to win at Turning Point USA. No more happy talk, no more sitting on our hands. They're coming after our kids, so we launched TPUSA Faith. I've had a chance to speak at over 150 churches across the country. We have over 2,000 pastors as part of our network. I could keep on going, but look, my heart is for liberty, which is God's idea, not man's idea. It's time to play to win for once.
I think our culture is so soft, and unless we realize the complexity of our bodies and how God has made us to endure hard things as men, then we'll continue to be soft.
I'm so reborn. I'm moving forward. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Ain't no stress on me, Lord. I'm moving forward. Keep moving forward.
Oh, hi.
Our border, I've never seen it this bad. The amount of human smuggling is just unbelievable.
Hamas, the terrorist organization.
White people!
How old is that? Get the away from me.
Kinds of people.
We play offense with a sense of urgency to go to places that we are in the ideological and philosophical minority. And our Turning Point USA students and chapters are doing that every single day. 50 years we've been asleep, and now we recognize and realize how deep the infection has gone. And people say, what do I do? What do I do? Now the fight begins. That's why you're here. Every single day we should be thinking about what is the new thing I can build. Our message to the media and to the left is that we are going to outlast you. We will out-organize you. We are going to out-create you. There is no room for negotiation. There is no middle ground. There will only be one winner. We are Americans, and we are going to win.
I'm convinced that the American church has arrived at a significant moment of truth.
We are only 75, 80 years removed from 3 separate regimes that killed 60 to 70 million people intentionally.
The parallels with where the American church is now to where the German church stood in the face of the Nazi regime are unavoidable and grim.
Churches need to understand really what Marxism is, which is to destroy the church, to destroy the Word of God.
So if you capture the seminaries, you capture the pastors, you capture the laity, you capture the soul of the world.
Christianity is not just about saying Jesus loves you and then going to heaven one day, but that there's a war that's raging.
The church is weakening, which is why Marxism is ascendant in America today.
This is the hour of the American church.
The world is on fire. Extremism is growing here in America at rapid rates. Terrorist groups like Hamas continue to kill women and children, and university professors are defending it. Why are you paying these terrorist sympathizers to educate your kids? Learn more about the scam of college with my book, The College
broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Not a politician. He's not politically correct, and he's
In a way, you're kind of more outspoken than your father sometimes.
The son of the 45th president joins me right now.
It's good to be back. I got a little bit of the Trump gene. I can't shut up. I got to keep fighting. We are in a fight for the future of our country, for our very existence. This is the greatest political movement in the history of our country. The other side knows it, and that's why they've gone to such great lengths to stop it. Do not What we're fighting for is worth it. They're not actually going after Trump. They're going after all of us. He was just the guy in the way. Don't ever stop. What's going on, Turning Point? Wow, you know, when you're opening up like the Sunday morning, it's always a little risky, right? Because you assume, you know, people may sleep in, they may not show up. I mean, this is amazing. I was talking with Charlie yesterday and early this morning. You know, I was a little nostalgic going back to like 2015, where this very meeting was like 300 people. Right? I mean, no, it's so amazing when you, like, that's how it started, and it was such an awesome thing to be a part of a movement, of a growing movement that he's done so incredibly, frankly, growing. I mean, this is the future of conservatism right here. And, you know, there's no doubt it's going to keep going, but it's just, honestly, it's awesome just to be able to see this many people, this motivated, this early in a cycle, because you're sick and tired of what's become of our country. I mean, we've had a pretty interesting week, haven't we, guys? I was told a couple of years now that decency was on the ballot. This thing with Democrats and projection is truly spectacular, right? Decency was on the ballot, and then I saw like the White House Christmas video, and I'm saying, man, I think, you know, remind me of like the Princess Bride. Like, you keep saying this word, but I don't think you know what it means. Right? You know what I'm talking about? Decency was on the ballot. I saw the White House video, and it was like, you know, I don't know what the hell it was, but it looked like, you know, trans activist White House Christmas video, I guess. I'm saying, interesting as it relates to decency. And I thought that was the worst the Democrats could do this week, but we were grossly outdone the next day. The next day, when Senate staffers are filming gay pornos in a Senate hearing room. I don't know if they're just trying to bring back the mask mandates and, like, you know, but But what's going on? You know, decency, right? The adults are back in charge. But they can do this because they realize there's no one actually there as a countermeasure to this insanity, right? That wasn't just a young guy being a young guy. That's a power play, right? We're going to turn off all the videos in here and we're going to do this. And we're going to share it because we're beyond reproach. If you think the radicals are the leaders in Congress, the Nancy Pelosi's, no. It's these 20-something-year-olds that have never been told no, that are told there's 9,476 genders and that's the gospel, that believe in convenient science that's made up on the spot to fulfill whatever political narrative they have. Decency is actually on the ballot in 2024 again. Last time, we got degeneracy. Decency is on the ballot. We got Hunter Biden this week talking about decency, the Republicans, because they had the gall to ask him to come in and do a deposition, discussing one of thousands of instances of him selling out our country, enriching his family. I mean, I use me as the example. We've done this one before. I take it a little bit personally, right? Because I did 50 hours of congressional testimony. 50 hours. Think about how much time that is, right? And they're doing the game, right? No, he'll do public hearings. Just so we're all clear, the public hearings, it's not transparent. It's the opposite. You get 5 minutes and 5 minutes, and the questions are from congressmen looking to get a 2-second clip on Twitter. Like, you can't get into the details because it transfers over. You know, the media will sell it. No, that's being transparent. It's exactly the opposite. When I went in, you had hours on end of repeated questioning from the Democrat staffers and the lawyers that actually deal with this stuff. Not the Congress people that can't be bothered with it and aren't going to be focused on it. But like all things that they tell you, it's a lie. It's designed to appear to be transparent while being exactly the opposite. He can't be bothered. What do you think would have happened to me? If I blew off one of the, I guess I did what? 5 different congressional testimonies, right? House Intelligence, Senate Intelligence, House Judiciary, Senate Intelligence again, and then the sham January 6th committee, right? So, total of 5 different subpoenas. I go in there. You know why? Because I'm a man. You go in there and you take it like a man. And if you didn't actually do anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. But Hunter's not a man. He's a 50-year-old baby. Right now, hey, we all saw that speech. They're being indecent. I'm like, hey, man, I've seen your laptop. Maybe, just maybe, you should lose that word from your vocabulary. You know, I don't know. Again, if it was the Don Jr. laptop from hell, you all would have heard about it. You would have seen it. You wouldn't have been censored for sharing the pictures, right? Because decency's on the ballot. Decency. What else have they done this week? Oh, just the whole administration, right? You had the trans nuclear waste guy stealing baggage, you know, because of course he got that job because he was the most qualified, not because he checked off a bunch of boxes. You know, he wore a dress and lipstick as a dude, therefore you should be in charge of the major organizations in our country. You know, you don't have to actually be qualified, but guess what, folks? You don't actually have to be qualified to be the president of Harvard anymore either. We saw that, right? And my alma mater, I don't have a lot to be proud of, but at least they fired the president. Now, she didn't get to check off as many boxes, so she actually gets fired. At Harvard, apparently they stand by plagiarism. Now, if you were a student there, you'd be out. They got rid of 50 people in the last 2 years for plagiarism. Students. But when the president, who was a lackluster academic at best, only published 11 academic papers, 5 of them were plagiarized. So let's just say just under 50% of her academic career has been plagiarized. That doesn't matter. So you can have a response to the rape and genocide of women and girls in the streets of Israel that is, let's call it, incredibly lackluster at best. You can essentially condone that. You can take the side of Hamas terrorists on the campus of Harvard. You can plagiarize 50% of your academic works, and you can face no consequence. You know why that is? Because the house of cards that DEI is built on crumbles when there's actual accountability for the BS that is DEI. That's all it is. And so for me, hey, I graduated from Penn, right? We used to be leaders. We created Donald Trump. Penn created Donald Trump, created Elon Musk, created Don Jr. I'm not going to say that's in the same level, but, you know, it's not bad. Now they're creating trans swimmers, Leah Thomas. So no, but think of the decline in academia, right? You go from that to leading the charge of making sure that men are allowed to compete in women's sports. That's a downgrade, folks. I'm not going to lie. It's a pretty serious downgrade. But what's good about all of this stuff is people are waking up. They're understanding the hypocrisy of literally everything that is out there on a daily basis. The lies we're told, they see it in the Harvard admission stuff. Now, honestly, as a business guy, I used to have my Penn Wharton diploma. This is something you wore with pride. It meant you accomplished something there. Now it doesn't mean anything. Today, if I was hiring as a business, I would much rather have someone from a state school that broke their ass and worked hard than some drama queen from Penn, Harvard. You know, they get to work on day one. They expect a 3-hour workday. They've been told they're the best at everything, even if these days it seems they probably don't have to be if they check off the requisite boxes. They're going to be in HR in 2 minutes complaining about some sort of grievance. It's not worth it. But like all of those things, at least it's all coming together. People are seeing it. You see it out in the streets. You see it in the places that are Democrat strongholds. They understand that the Democrat Party policy has failed. The woke ideology that dominates the left does not work. They see that the lies that they were told about Trump for years upon end, was all bullshit, folks. But most importantly, they're understanding that everything was better under Trump. It's true. Have you seen some of the statistics as it relates to people's mortgages and their pay? They're up 90%. You know how debilitating that is when that really kicks in? Right? The people who have a 5 years, ARM, like an adjustable rate mortgage. You hit that time throughout, it resets. You're paying 90% more. When all of that stuff clicks in, and it's happening, you combine that with inflation. You combine that with literally everything across the board. People's expenses are through the roof. You're going to bankrupt half the country. And at this point, it almost feels intentional. It has to be. No, seriously. This is something I say all the time. But if you were trying to destroy America from within, would you do anything differently than today's Democrat Party? We want to blame Joe Biden, but in all fairness, Joe Biden doesn't know where he is. He's like an imbecile at best. at best, on a good day. And that's when they jack him up so he appears like, I mean, you can't say, like, lucid, because that's never the case, but, like, he appears to be 10% lucid for 7 minutes before the stuff wears off, right? So you know it's not him. But he's been good for the radical left, and it's not the Democrat Party anymore, because it's clear these are communists, they are Marxists, they don't pretend anymore. They're saying these things out loud on a daily basis. They're pushing for wars, they're pushing for globalism. You will own nothing and be happy, folks. Hey, their policies are pushing you to that, because the average person won't be able to afford to buy a home right now. So you'll rent. You know, and BlackRock will make sure that you become a permanent renter. And then, you know, they'll still fly G5s and eat steak while you're supposed to eat bugs and be happy with no responsibility. AI is going to displace 90% of the workers in the country within a matter of years. They need you to be fat, weak, stupid, unhealthy, because if you are, they can control you. I mean, isn't it so obvious? Right? We're going to flood the border. We could do something about it. I mean, honestly, it's sort of hard to believe. This time last year, I was making fun of him on the stage, and rightfully so. John Fetterman. No, I mean, you got someone on stage who had, let's call it serious cognitive issues. Even he's like, okay, we got to close the border. This is ridiculous. I'm like, no, I mean, I'm serious, right? Like, the guy that's incapable of putting on a suit in the United States Senate, like, he's like, hey, like, Israel should be able to defend itself, and we should close down our borders because what's going on is insane. I mean, he is the reasonable Democrat? Like, I'm like, yeah. I was like, man, I actually agree with this guy. Like, I mean, he couldn't form a sentence in a debate. He wins the United States Senate seat. I went after him a little bit because, I don't know, I guess I'm old school. I believe that someone who is making trillion-dollar decisions for me, for you, for our children and grandchildren should be able to form a complete sentence. I understand that in today's Democrat Party, that is viewed as discriminatory. They called me an ableist. Right? Ableist, someone who discriminates someone against, I guess, those with disabilities. I'm like, well, listen, it's not like he's in a wheelchair. Like, he can't actually think. But he's actually smarter than the other Democrats. Like, you know, so I imagine there'll be a lot of other surprises coming this year. You see all the lawfare. You see the lies. You see what they're trying to do to my father. Now you see the stuff. Hey, but guess what? There was actually voter fraud, but it doesn't matter now. We won't talk about that then. It doesn't matter because we've already changed, so we can't do anything retroactive. That's the thing. Like all the conspiracy theories, they always come true. There's no such thing as a conspiracy theory. It's just how long till the average person is able to get through and bypass the constant inundation from the media, from big tech, from the biggest liars out there. That's the truth. But again, it's gotten so extreme. It's gotten so ridiculous. Those entities are working so much more overtime to try to lie to you, to force you, that even the person who's, you know, not like you guys, you're here, right? You're into this. You're watching it. You're looking for the anomalies. You're saying, hey, it just doesn't make any sense, but you're actually paying attention. There's a lot of people that are struggling in America right now. You know, Bidenomics, I can assure you, is not the wonderful. It's ridiculous, but again, those big, powerful entities, and these aren't like one or two people. These are trillion-dollar institutions that are spending the vast majority of their time lying to you to manipulate an outcome, right? That's effective. When you're just trying to put food on the table, when you're trying to live your American dream, when you're trying to make up the difference because your mortgage now costs 90% more, you're listening to a lot of that stuff. It's noise in the background. So I love seeing a crowd like this, because when you see this crowd year after year, as I have for 8 or 10 years that I've been involved, which are, okay, our efforts, the insanity that, you know, for me, that I've gone through personally, that they certainly are trying to do to my father and family, but the attacks on all of you, right? It's not just us, I promise you. Like, I get it. Okay, my whole thing, you got to get out there, you got to be unafraid. I understand there's a consequence. No one understands that probably better than my family right now. You know, there's some others, let's call it the January 6thers, they probably understand it even better, but they're trying to do that to my father. You know, because he led, apparently, I'm told, the first unarmed insurrection in the history of insurrections. I mean, it's, you know, I understand that he is an innovative guy, but that's probably not the way you innovate. But again, it's all BS, right? We see that now. But 2 years later, when they can no longer hide the exculpatory video, when you no longer see, oh wait, what's the FBI or the other feds in the Fedsurrection? They're pushing people down the stairs who are otherwise calm. You have the FBI director, we cannot release the video because it would give up too many of our undercover assets. I was like, oh, so they're in the crowd. So the next logical question, if we were sentient beings, which we are, but the media isn't, is why didn't they do anything? Why didn't they stop it then? It's almost as though, and I know we're getting way out here in the conspiracy theory, it's almost as though they wanted it to happen. They would then cover up the evidence. They would then use it to manipulate. Because of course that's what they're doing. They can't release the video because they had way too many in the crowd. Now you have the FBI whistleblowers. They come out where there's like, you know, Kyle Seraphin and these other guys, and they talk about it. Kyle was there for 6 years. And he was involved in, was able to blow the whistle on not just the Fedsurrection, but spying on Catholics, because practicing Catholics are domestic terrorists. I mean, you know, domestic terrorists, according to the FBI, aren't domestic terrorists, but practicing Catholics are. He was able to be a part of and understand and know people part of, you know, the fake Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping. Right? That just disappeared because, you know, once the truth comes out, it can no longer be weaponized against their political enemies. Concerned mothers and parents at PTA meetings. Another radical group of domestic terrorists, according to the FBI. So the FBI can't catch actual terrorists. Everyone that commits a crime was on their watch list. You know, they can't release the trans Shooter's Manifesto because we know what that would do to the most protected class in the United States of America, if not the world right now, which is radical trans activists. They can do anything. So the FBI is not going to stop that, but they do have time to make sure that they change the way they say LBGT, whatever they... Now it's LBTGQIA++ expialidocious. They had time to change that this week. I don't know. You know, it's all this crazy stuff. It was like when my father took out ISIS. How did he do that? He told the operators on the ground, do what you need to do. You know, like... I know. It sounds like rocket science. Like, let the Navy SEALs kill bad guys. Shocking. Rather than having them do, like, diversity training. No, but I hear the stories. You know, buddies of mine that are operators in that. You know, for years, I mean, we spend more time learning how to incorporate, whether it's females or this, into our combat. Well, does it ever happen? No, it doesn't happen, but we have to do it. They tell me they're spending more time doing that than they are shooting. Right? And then I say something publicly because, you know, not exactly quiet. Not known for quiet. I got the Trump genes. And then the media, how does Don Jr. know? He doesn't know anything. And then guys like Rob O'Neill and Carl Higbee and these guys that were actually SEALs are like, it's 100% true. It's why we have the attrition rate in those communities, because they're like, we're not fighting for this. You know? It's why we can't recruit in the Army, because, you know, in all fairness, a big part of patriotism and willing to die for your country would be actually believing in what that country's values espouse, right? You know, if they're just paying for, you know, gender-affirming care in the military, you're like, I probably don't believe in that. I'm just going to go get a job. It's so obvious, but it's not obvious to the people in charge. So we have an incredible opportunity to do something about this insanity in 2024. But make no mistake, just because it looks good, because it feels good, because it's obvious, we can't underestimate whatever it is that they're going to come up with. They've shown how evil they are. Right? The narrative of the last 2 weeks, Trump's going to be a dictator. Yeah, because he was a dictator last time, right? Like, no, of course. I mean, he's not the one trying to jail the political opposition. That's the Democrats and the weaponized DOJ and the weaponized FBI and the weaponized CIA. Trump's not on the record trying to say they're going to censor people who they disagree with politically. That's the same group of letter agencies in the United States. They're the ones putting great patriots on terror watch lists, aided and abetted by big tech. How many people in this room, by show of hands, have been silenced on social media or elsewhere? Strange, you never hear that on the other side. I mean, I see people on the left, but, you know, a 3-year-old should be able to talk to their purple-haired teacher and chop off their bodily parts without the involvement of their parents. And if you think that's wrong, you're a terrible human being. They're trying to crush the family. They're trying to crush that structure. Despite the fact that the actual science shows that those things literally lead to the most productive people, the best people, the smartest people, like across the board. But they want to shut that down because it's not about creating the best, it's about controlling them. It's about creating a population that they can control forever. And that's why we have to get involved, folks. You know, there's so much at stake. We've seen the lies. You see the projection. Again, the dictator one. I think my father handled it best. Are you going to be a dictator? No, on day one when I close down the border and start drilling again so we can take care of ourselves. But the reason they're going out there and going to other noted conservatives like Liz Cheney, who can't get like 4 points in like the most conservative state in the country, is because they understand the Democrats' biggest fear is that Trump would be like them. Because they know what they are doing. They've been doing it for years. They know what they would do if they had that power. And that is jail you and silence you. It's the projection. So watch for all the projection. Watch for it. Because they're going to do that about everything. The reality, if Trump was in charge right now, we wouldn't be sending trillions of dollars to Ukraine. For what? To enrich the next class of Ukrainian oligarchs as they pilfer the money? They don't even want systems to control it. They don't even care. And they'll send the peasants to go die on the front lines, so they keep the money train going. And Washington loves it because they can make, you know, they'll get a board seat and they'll make an extra 6 figures sitting on the board of Raytheon because they're selling more missiles. This is how it goes. Watch for it. The reason they want to be in war there and in Israel, and now we're talking about Venezuela, right? There's no money in peace, folks. There's no money in peace. And you always got to follow the money. So guys, this year, please just make sure you all get involved, that you stay involved the way you are, that you are able to talk sense to the people who are willing to listen. And I can assure you, as people go out there and experience America under Joe Biden and the radical Democrats, they're looking for an out. But they need you guys to be a part of it. We have to become unafraid. Can't just be Donald Trump out there talking by himself. They'll take him out. They've shown that they'll do that. They're still trying. Like I said, they want to put him in jail for 1,000 years. I mean, I say he's a young and vibrant guy, but that's a long time. We need everyone to be a part of that, because if you're all a part of that movement, if you're all a part of that process, if you're all out there talking and fighting and having these conversations and volunteering, we can win and we can save our country. So guys, get out there and do it. Thank you so much.
Chief Division Counsel and DOJ have approved a no-knock breach. We want the subject to be on display, doing the walk of shame, full visual impact. Any questions?
Are we becoming a police state?
Government told American citizens they couldn't go to church on Sunday.
For the first time in my life, I'm saying to myself, am I going to get a knock at the door?
FBI warrant, come to the door now!
The Patriot Act and FISA were used against Donald Trump.
These individuals have commissioned the biggest propaganda play in U.S. history.
They don't go after the people that rigged the election. They go after the people that want to find out what the hell happened.
We don't need to have a crime. What we need is a person to look at. And then we go find out what crime you did.
FBI! Our focus is shifting. Our main priority as a bureau is going to be domestic terrorism.
It really paints anybody who's right of center.
If you're a pro-life, pro-family Catholic, they define you as radical.
These are anti-government,
We have freedom of religion and freedom of speech!
violent extremists, and they must be dealt with. We can do anything we want.
Richard Nixon. Well, I'm not a crook. Ronald Reagan.
Tear down this wall.
And Donald Trump.
And a friend of mine for a long time, he only likes politics. If you ask him about how are the Yankees doing, he has no interest. If you ask him almost anything, he likes politics, and he's a professional at the highest level. Roger Stone.
All of these presidents relied on one man to secure their seat in the Oval Office. That man is Roger Stone.
Thank you. Wow. I can't wait to hear what I have to say. First of all, let me thank Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA for putting together the single most important meeting in conservative movement history. You know, Dwight Eisenhower was president of the United States when I was born. He was a great president. He brought us unprecedented peace and prosperity. I had the privilege of working on 2 campaigns for Richard Nixon, 3 campaigns for Governor, later President Ronald Reagan. Worked for one of the greatest Americans of the 20th century, Senator Bob Dole. But I'm here to tell you that I traveled 2,339,000 miles to tell you that Donald J. Trump is the greatest president of my lifetime. There are rare times in American history when the future of the country, when the future of our democratic republic lies on one man. It was true of George Washington. It was true of Abraham Lincoln. And today it is true of Donald Trump. It was in 1988 that I first recognized that Donald Trump had the size, I don't mean the physical size, but the stature, the guts, the stamina, the courage, and the independence to not just be a great candidate for president, to be one of our greatest presidents ever. And the record will show that he brought us unprecedented prosperity, a robust economy, the lowest levels of unemployment among all Americans, black, white, young, old, Asian, Hispanic, rural, urban. He rebuilt our country's military might, which had been allowed to atrophy under Barack Obama. And then, at the beginning, he was subjected to the greatest single dirty trick in American political history. Barack Obama and Joe Biden used the full authority of the United States government based on what they knew was completely fabricated evidence in the Russian collusion hoax to try to illicitly and illegally remove a duly elected president, to spy on him, to destroy his presidency, and to this day, no person has been punished for that treasonous crime. Now, the people who are seeking to lock up and prosecute the leading candidate for the Republican nomination, their political opponent, Donald Trump, the people who have violated the law to use the 702 database to spy on over 5 million Americans, to issue warrantless surveillances against 278,000 Americans, the people who seek to use the intelligence agencies to pressure, although not much pressure was needed, to work with the social media companies to censor and cancel anyone who disagrees with them politically, the people who claim that parents who go to school board meetings because they're concerned with the curriculum being taught to their children are domestic terrorists, those people say Donald Trump would be a threat to democracy. No, folks, the guy who's a threat to democracy is Joe Biden. You know, there was a time in America when this was not always the case. There was actually a time when both major parties believed in America. Both major parties were anti-communist. Both major parties believed in free enterprise and capitalism. Both major parties favored a strong national defense. Both major parties loved the Constitution. Both major parties, well, there was a difference. They wanted to tax more and spend more. We, generally speaking, wanted to tax less and spend less. But I must tell you, that Democratic Party, the Democratic Party of John F. Kennedy, the Democratic Party of Harry Truman. That Democratic Party is dead, and that Democratic Party has been hijacked by a socialist, Marxist band of radicals who are bent on canceling our Constitution and destroying our freedoms. I don't know what you think, but I don't care what they say. I'm not eating any frigging bugs. So let's be very clear about what we face. This is not a coming struggle, the final battle, as President Donald Trump correctly calls it. This is not a fight between Republicans and Democrats. This is not a fight between liberals and conservatives. This is nothing less than a fight between good and evil. A fight between darkness and light. A fight between the godly and the godless. And if we fail, America will step off into 1,000 years of darkness. Ladies and gentlemen, I've known Donald Trump for 45 years. He is the most confident person I have ever known. He's buoyant, he's resilient, he's determined, he's resolute, and with the help of every single person in this room, we are going to win the next election and take America back. But it would be unrealistic for us to think that Donald Trump can do this alone, because he cannot. Which is why we need people like Carrie Lake in the United States Senate. It is why we need people like my friend R.J. Majewski in the U.S. Congress. Because, friends, let's be very clear. Our problem today are not the socialist, Marxist, crackpot Democrats. Our problem, in the nutshell, are the feckless, gutless, weak-kneed, spineless, white wine swilling, country club belonging, establishment Republicans who have neither guts nor balls. We need America First Republicans in both houses of Congress to support Donald Trump in his efforts to save this country. Now, people know my story. I was unfairly targeted, unjustly targeted, because I was a 45-year friend of Donald Trump, and when they could not find any evidence of Russian collusion, because indeed none existed, I was pressured relentlessly to offer false testimony, to testify falsely against the president, and I refused. And when it became clear to me that I would not get a fair trial, indeed that I would be gagged, not allowed to publicly defend myself, boy, does that sound familiar, when all my constitutional rights were essentially stripped from me in the pretrial conditions set forward by the government, I went into a deep depression. I was angry. I was frustrated. I was depressed. I was drinking a little too much. And then it was, based on the advice of Reverend Franklin Graham, that I turned my life back over to Jesus Christ. I was redeemed in the blood of the cross, and it was from that moment on that I knew that Donald Trump would see that I was being unjustly and baselessly prosecuted, essentially because I refused to turn on him, and I received not only a commutation of my sentence, but a full presidential pardon. Thank you, Jesus. Shortly after my pardon, I learned that my wife of now 32 years was diagnosed with extraordinarily aggressive stage 4 cancer. The doctors essentially told her to put her affairs in order. But I'm happy to tell you today, I've had more than one miracle in my life. Thanks to the healing power of Jesus Christ, my wife is 2.5 years cancer-free. Now, as a former Young Republican National Chairman, but more importantly, someone who was the chairman of my college Republican club at George Washington University, I understand what it's like to call a meeting and have 5 people show up. So I say to you on the campuses, you who are on the front lines of this effort to take America back, never quit. Realize how important you are in this extraordinary last battle. People know that my original political mentor was Richard Nixon. Yes, it's true. I have a tattoo on my back. It's about the size of a grapefruit between my shoulder blades. Means actually I'm the only guy you know with a dick on the front and the back. But it is not a political statement. It's a daily reminder that in life, when things don't go your way, when you suffer defeats, when you suffer setbacks, when you're disappointed, that's the time to get up off the canvas, dust yourself, and get back into the game. You see, the story of Nixon is a story of resilience. It's a story of persistence. It's a story that is very American. It was Richard Nixon who said, "The greatness comes not when things go always good for you, but when you take some knocks, some defeats, when sadness comes. Because until one has been in the deepest valley, one cannot appreciate the majesty of God's highest mountaintop." President Nixon also said, "A man is not finished when he is defeated. He is only finished when he quits." I can tell you that in the fight to save America, neither I nor Donald Trump nor anyone in this room will ever quit. God bless you.
With Christmas quickly approaching, now is the time to pick up some MyPillow products. Mike Lindell has assured us here at RSBN that you'll get these products to you by Christmas, but only if you order soon. Use promo code RSBN for up to 80% off any MyPillow product today. That's code RSBN. Don't wait. Christmas is quickly approaching. Get some MyPillow products today.
We have been lied to. We have been deceived. And I've been saying for years, the moment that moms find out
what's going on behind closed doors in their children's schools, there's going to be a national revolt. And that is exactly what you're seeing.
Well, what we have learned is that there are members of Congress who aren't really representing the values that we care about as moms.
When you start telling moms they're not your kids, they're going, what are you talking about?
The main reason why we've been losing is because we've been fighting principle with policy. We need to fight principle with principle, because when we do, freedom wins.
What America is going to look like in 10, 20, 30 years from now, you are deciding it today. Motherhood is the great unifier, and mothers of all political persuasions are uniting together to defend and protect their children. And Moms for America is giving them a powerful voice and platform to be able to do that. You are creating the future of our country, and if you don't like what we see, you have the power to turn it around. When my children and my grandchildren ask me, where were you when the Republic was hanging in the balance? I am going to be able to tell them I was right there, fighting to my last breath to save it. If you think that this mom-led revolution is just a little thing that's going to come and go, you ain't seen nothing yet. Welcome to the mom-led revolution. So, you know, they're trying to destroy the whole idea, first of mothers, then of women, erasing women. And the crazy thing is, it is women, radical feminist women, who are trying to erase women. Do they not realize they are erasing themselves? So we are living in really crazy times. And I want you to know that we put out a document in 2018 called the Declaration of Mothers. 9 paragraphs of awesome that very clearly say who has the right to teach, nurture, and raise our children, that all of these organizations and entities are there to support us, not replace us. And we put it in our copy of the Constitution here, in the front and back. You will see the Declaration of Mothers. In 2018, it was introduced into the congressional record. So Joe Biden and his crazy clown people that are running the government right now, they can call us chest feeders and birthing people all they want, but moms are in the congressional record and they can't take that away. So I keep telling moms, you know, what are we supposed to do with all this crazy happening? Well, I'm going to tell you, one of the really great things you can do is start reading great books about truth to your children. One of those is by Hans Christian Andersen, The Emperor's New Clothes. And you guys, if you haven't read it, read it, share it. Share it with all your college friends because it might be new to them. And so that when they see that the emperor is naked, that they can have the courage to stand up and say, can somebody put some clothes on the dude? Because boys are boys and girls are girls, and anybody who has any sense whatsoever knows that. So when you start looking at all the things that are happening, and it can be anything from what's happening in the schools, the education, they're taking over our culture, even the environmentalist movement. You look at all of this, and you can see that there is one objective: kill God and enslave the people. Well, spoiler alert, God wins in the end. But I'm planning on winning a whole lot of battles between now and then. This is not a war of outcome. This is a war of casualties. And it is our role to make sure that our children, our grandchildren, our brothers, our sisters are not casualties in this war. So we as moms are rising up, answering God's call because he needs his daughters now more than ever. It is time for the Jezebels and the Delilahs to get out of the way, and the Esthers and the Deborahs to rise up and take this back. So the good news is, we're here to do that. The moms are rising up. We're standing with you. Your mothers love you. You all have one. A lot of you women out there, or you young girls, are going to be one. We are changing the future right now in this room. Everything that we do, everything that we say is making a difference. So remember, the emperor is naked. Stand up on truth, never step back from it, and be those strong, stalwart patriots that your mamas raised you to be. God bless you.
We here at RSBN started as a company that relied completely on viewer support. Now we have great partners like Mike Lindell and his MyPillow products. By the way, use code RSBN for up to 80% off. We still rely on you, the viewer. You are our greatest partner. Help us out by going to rsbnnetwork.tv. That's rsbnetwork.tv/donate and dropping us whatever you can afford. Or if you prefer, come join locals at rsbn.locals.com. and get some great behind-the-scenes content that you won't see anywhere else. We cannot thank you enough for your support. Thanks again.